had 5 pupils. Number 4, in fact, was older than numbers 2 and 3. And he practiced the lizard style.
Number 4, lizard!
You're quite right.
You couldn't pull one drag off my mouth. You couldn't punch away out of a wet paper bag with scissors in your hands. It's the lizard. I stand close to walls. At number 4, the lizard. Up with our catalog. Put your lights out and leave your brain inside a ball. Natural. Actual facts are thrown at you. The impact to blow trees back and crack statues. $1 million rap crew fold. Check the sick, explicit. Crystal out the rhyme so you can snip it. Crystal out the rhyme so you can snip it. It's only natural. Actual facts. It's only natural. Actual facts are thrown at you.
Bronxman part 2. We like Dorothy Hamill on that. We in your hood, we might circle. I sit it on your hood, kid. I sit it on your hood. Not till you burn it too late. I'm looking real good.
So natural, actual facts, facts, actual facts, 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 facts.
So, you know what I want?
You know, fucking actual justice warrior.
Rush.
This is the black dudes don't wear condoms guy.
Hey, what? Oh yeah, if you want to trip down racist lane.
Racist lane.
Just go check out some of the old videos that I did with him back when I was just like racist lane. I used to call him out and because of all of his
Race realist 1350 bullshit.
Wait, what'd you just say? Say that again.
Race realist.
That's a lie.
It is.
There it is.
1350 bullshit.
What? They have evidence.
Do you agree that there is wildly disproportionate crime among demographics in the United States of America? And if so, which demographic is committing the most amount of crime?
So I didn't deny that. You called me a crime denialist, which is a weird term. I hadn't heard it before, but then I looked it up and it's one you find amongst certain circles. I mean, you know, basically amongst Tucker Carlson's and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not a crime denialist. It's like, I know you're trying to pull the 1350 over me on this one. I will agree that they do commit a disproportionately high amount of crime.
That's a homicide stat. I was talking about overall violent crime.
Right. So overall violent crime, yes, they commit more crime than white people.
But I'm just saying, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm just a clown on the internet.
and always talking about how like black people need to be like policed at higher rates because they're the criminals in society.
All right, what did he really say?
So they're disproportionately having more interactions with the police
Because
because
they
they're over
commit
heavily
more crime.
enforced. So because of these over interactions and they have more
It's
engagement
not
with the
over
police, they're
interaction.
committing.
They're committing more crime. So it would be logical that you would send more police to deal with the crime.
I was like, well, if black people and white people use drugs at the same rate, but black people are clearly being over-policed, over-incarcerated, more interactions with police, they can't afford bail, they have, you know, longer sentencing, then something else is going on, right? And then we just kept on going down that rabbit hole where he was trying to describe the reason why.
No, he wasn't.
And I was pressing him on it, and eventually he was like,
It's because of their culture, okay? It's because of their culture and then fatherless homes. That's why it happens.
so I was like, what do you mean about their culture? What aspect about their culture is replicating this so vividly in the criminal justice system? I was like, something else explains it. He's like,
No, it's because black guys don't wear condoms.
like what? I was like,
Black guys, statistically, black men don't wear condoms. That's why.
I was like, well, even if that was true, which off the top of my head I had no idea about, that's just a weird thing for anyone to think and or say, but even if that was true, and the data actually showed the opposite, by the way, when we started looking at the actual statistics, because I didn't know why, but now I'm Googling the condom rate amongst different ethnicities, but here we are. But yeah, it showed the opposite, and also in addition to that, what does that have to do with over-policing mass incarceration of two different groups, which again, use proportionally similar levels of drugs? White people and black people use around the same level of drugs, but only one of them is getting mass incarcerations, especially when it comes to like non-violent drug offenses and stuff like that. Clearly something's at play here. Something else is going on. It's not just the condoms, you know?
People are getting pregnant before they graduate high school. Like a bunch of reasons.
No, but why is that happening to black households? Why do black households have that high rate?
I mean, you have the breakdown of the family. You have a bunch of different like factors. We set up a system where women are incentivized to not marry the father of their kid. Black people, on average, are less likely to use condoms, so they're more likely to have unplanned pregnancies. Like again, there's a bunch of things that are that are leading to this, and this is a long-term trend. It's been happening, I think, since the 60s.
But then why in that where they don't, why is it that black people are disproportionately, in your opinion, committing more crimes?
Because they are.
They just are.
I mean, you have what? Like, you have lack of police presence in certain areas, hyped gang culture, you have fatherless households, like whatever you want to run through. But they are.
But then my question again would be the same thing then. Why does that not affect the white demographic of that same population the same way?
Because they don't have the same issues as the black population. In terms of fatherless households, it's significantly higher among black communities than it is among white communities.
So the cause is fatherless households then?
I mean, that is a huge predictor of whether or not you will end up in poverty and whether or not you will end up involved in crime. Yes. A male role model makes a huge difference, especially since your peak offending years are when you're a young man aged 14 or 15 to 25.
But I'm just saying, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm just a clown on the internet.
If we get to the root of this, if you really want to like die on this hill, even if this was the case, even if it turns out that statistically black people use condoms less than white people, what the fuck does that have to do with the end result being, and that's why more black people commit murders in the United States. That's why they disproportionately commit more murders than white people. Because again, it comes down to the condoms. It's the formation of the family unit based on the condoms. Like it's always been the condoms. You must understand that's been the root of all this. You know, historic racism, systemic racism, critical race theory, all these things. None of it is true. None of it. Slavery, not true. It all comes down to the core. It's about the core, the condom, all right? It's always been about the condom.
It's not just the condoms, you know?
Condom theory.
It's after the Berlin Wall fell, which the Soviet Union...
Islam's First Nations, my mommy's First Nations. I'm Métis.
Also, the point I was making earlier is not that Saudi Arabia cares about Ukraine, but like when you're negotiating with somebody, right? Like, you know, past behavior is the best predictor of future outcome. So when we're trying to negotiate denuclearization with any other country, and our example of what happened to somebody who agreed to give up their nuclear stockpile is Ukraine, which is currently now part of Russia, like they're not going to want to negotiate with us. So it leads to potential problems down the line. Not to mention, historically, when conflict breaks out on the European continent, a lot of Americans eventually go over there and die in order to set things right. And I don't want a third world war.
I think this is what makes the Third World War.
I mean, you could agree.
This is new to me. I've never seen anyone fucking break AJW on the right. Kim, this is your wingman, by the way. You brought on this race realist.
We both know that's a lie.
Oh, what? Emma Vigeland's coming over. Ooh, who do we got? I need backup. Come on. Who's available? Seamus? Can we get Seamus? Moonlord. I need Moonlord. Get Moonlord in here. It's like, we got the guy who thinks about black condom use. That guy.
Condom theory.
Yeah, okay, whatever. He'll work.
You're disagree on that.
Russia could have taken the Donbass region, and we would have been like, wow, that was bad, that was horrible, and it would have been like Crimea. Crimea got taken, and it was a big news event. And then
weren't they shelling the capital? Was it not beyond the Donbass region where they were attacking?
Pretty sure it was just the Donbass region.
No, they were shelling Kyiv. They were shelling all over the country.
I mean, look, let's be real. Russia claims the whole territory of the Ukraine and like their greater Russia as part of them. So like they make it say there's ethnic Russians right now.
Some connections here. There we go. That's beautiful.
Like there might be ethnic Russians in the Donbass.
Should we go to war with China?
Absolutely not.
Depends on.
Should we go to war with China? Asked in earnest. Fucking planetary ending event. I don't know. Could be cool. You know?
For what?
You know, my view is strengthen this country. You know, shore up our defenses. Focus on empowering our people with the ability to live, work, eat, sleep, Medicare.
What does that look like?
I'm not Medicare, medical care in some capacity.
Medicare for all, potentially?
I don't. That's a specific thing. I call it
public option. How about that?
I call it universal basic health care.
What does that mean?
We provide basic health care to all people.
How so?
Thank you. Just like, don't let people just say sounds, you know, sounds are fun. I like them too. Whip, wuzzle, wuzzle, right? But like, get the substance behind the sounds.
Well, I mean, if you want to get into the intricacies of it, I could ask you the same question. I'm saying that.
Yeah, through taxation.
The average,
for me.
I
creating a socialized healthcare system.
But I don't know if I would call it a socialized healthcare system.
By the way, this isn't even Emma. Like, I know maybe when he looks this over, he's gonna be like,
Oh my god, she was so vicious. She was so mean to me. She was framed by Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar had his fucking, his hands all over this. Oh my god, she was so vicious. She was so mean to me. She was framed by Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar had his fucking, his hands all over this. Like, right now, she's being so calm, rational, and reasonable. I just straight up being like, explain. Like, don't just make sounds. Don't just, like, sounds are fun, right? Like, let's go beyond the sounds. What do you mean? How are you going to achieve that? Why do you want the thing that you're saying out loud, and how are you going to go about it? Because that's why both Sam, her, Majority Report, like, most leftists who come on this show, that's why we don't want to talk about the Thanos snap for fucking 3 hours. Like, oh my god, she was so vicious. She was so mean to me. She was framed by Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar had his fucking, his hands all over this. Oh my god, she was so vicious. She was so mean to me. She was framed by Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar had his fucking, his hands all over this. Well, when you're gonna ground your axioms and talk about where your deontological fucking position is going to lie, it's like, not really. I mean, I'll give you a little bit just for your funds. Maybe utilitarian is closest as I can describe, but like outside of that, can we actually talk about policy? Can we talk about how we can actually improve society based on our own observations? What are we doing wrong? What's fucking up? What's good? What's bad? Let's go with that, and then we'll move from there to something better, right? For fucking 3 hours. Oh my god, she was so vicious. She was so mean to me. She was framed by Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar had his fucking, his hands all over this. Oh my god, she was so vicious. She was so mean to me. She was framed by Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar had his fucking, his hands all over this.
Why do you think that healthcare is so heavily inflated in terms of cost in this country?
Well, for one, the insurance companies are all corrupt and broken.
Absolutely. In Germany and the UK, they spend half of what we do, and they have socialized healthcare, and they have better outcomes in terms of life expectancy, infant mortality. Canada
didn't Trump do the thing with like cheaper
but
insulin from Canada or something?
I think Biden might have done something to like
the insulin was a part of the negotiations in the Inflation Reduction Act.
But I just want to point out, like, those are horrible metrics, life expectancy and infant mortality, for two reasons. Number one, if you take out car accidents in the United States of America, our life expectancy shoots dramatically up. In Europe, a lot less people drive. And considering we're talking about medical care, I think we should focus on things that describe the impact of medical care. As for infant mortality, this is one of the worst metrics, because if you are born at any point for a split second and you die, you go into our infant mortality statistics. In France, for example, you have to have the pregnancy gestate for over 20 weeks, and you have to be alive for a full 24 hours. So this is just not an apples to apples comparison.
I think that doctors would disagree with your assessment that the infant mortality rates are overinflated, but I'll then just
they're just measuring different things. They can disagree with that, but they would be incorrect, wrong,
but how about cost element that I just mentioned?
Yeah, cost is definitely a huge problem. And I think this has to do with third-party payers.
Healthcare. That's because we have privatized healthcare.
I would disagree.
Oh, I've had a kidney stone before.
All of a sudden, I'm like, like, what's happening? It was crazy. People think that kidney stones are like you're going to the bathroom, and all of a sudden you're like, no, it's like in your body, up in your.
I assumed it was in your body. I know. I don't know whatever the medical or technical term is for kidney stones. I couldn't tell you that.
Yeah.
I went to the hospital for, I think, like 2 days, and they charged me something like 40 grand.
That's wrong.
I'm like, holy crap. But like the idea that I went to the hospital for.
Okay. It's like, goddamn, you precious motherfucker.
You precious motherfucker.
If that's the story, then you should want to advocate so more people have access to that kind of a fucking miracle scenario that you just had.
Universal basic healthcare.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
Instead of going bankrupt and we'd never hear from Tim Pool again, that was the end of the Tim Pool story. He's still working off his fucking medical debts. That's just what Tim Pool is to this very point. It's pretty awesome that it got reduced by what, like 100 times, right? That's a good thing. Don't you want that for more people?
We provide basic healthcare to all people.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
And they were like, good news, it's a kidney stone. And I was like, holy crap.
Oh, I've had a kidney stone before.
Holy crap.
I like that you can tell there was kind of like an arc, right? There was like midway through, we kind of peaked in the Tim Pool anger zone. That's around like Emma being like, neo-Nazis, what do you think about like the fact that an avowed neo-Nazi / neo-Nazi shooter watched your show? And that's where he just like, he derailed for a while. That's where he was like,
oh, why do you like giving pedophiles kids? Why did you inspire the Ohio mass shooter apparently that I just made up right now? Fuck you. This was you're Sam Cedar. This is Sam Cedar in an Emma Vigeland costume. I know it. Reveal yourself, Emma. Let me see. Why do you like giving pedophiles kids? Why did you inspire the Ohio mass shooter apparently that I just made up right now? Fuck you. This was you're Sam Cedar. This is Sam Cedar in an Emma Vigeland costume. I know it. Reveal yourself, Emma. Let me see.
And then like, you know, things have calmed down since then. He's kind of like, it's that kind of like, now he's like, you know, it's like when the mushrooms leave the body, all of a sudden you get that like nice release and you're like, oh, I'm zen, this feels nice. All right, now we're just a couple of friends, you know, hanging out, talking about all kinds of shit. Ooh, I'm zen, this feels nice. All right.
Why do you like giving pedophiles kids? Why did you inspire the Ohio mass shooter apparently that I just made up right now? Fuck you. This was you're Sam Cedar. This is Sam Cedar in an Emma Vigeland costume. I know it. Reveal yourself, Emma. Let me see.
Ooh, I'm zen. This feels nice. All right. Ooh, I'm zen. Ooh, I'm zen. This feels nice. All right. Ooh, I'm zen. This feels nice. All right.
That I just made up right now.
Pain.
Was it a viable stone though?
Was it what?
Was it a viable stone? Did you like keep it and raise it?
What? At first I was like, why are you using the term I get it.
Oh no, corporate hospital chains are really bad too. They're all a part of a sick system that needs to be dismantled and nationalized.
I get the pun there, sick system.
That was not even intentional.
Yeah, the whole system's broken. I don't think I have the absolute answers. I don't know for sure. I just think like I see these stories. There was a kid who was like 15, got the flu and died. And I'm like, how does that happen? The mom was like, I couldn't afford Tamiflu. And I'm like, it's like $30. There was a horrible story of that guy who was diabetic, and then he couldn't afford the $50 for his insulin, and he dies. And I'm like, whoa, hold on, I'll give him the money. Like, I can give him the money. I will gladly. So the challenge, I suppose, is if we do increase taxes to pay for this, do we really trust?
So, did you give him the money, Tim?
He couldn't afford the $50 for his insulin, and he dies.
Because you said you had the money and you were going to give him the money, and then there was a lull.
And he dies.
Breaking sentence, or maybe a comma. Maybe that was a semicolon. You know.
He couldn't afford the $50 for his insulin, and he dies.
You know, those are seldom used correctly, but often very gallant when you do see them proper. And then what happened? I'm just curious.
And he dies. And he dies. And he dies.
So, did you give him the money, Tim?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
God have mercy on your soul.
The system to not be corrupt and just steal it.
Well, I do, because I think that there are models in Canada, in the UK, in Germany,
yeah, but
in
the United
France.
States has prison systems the way it is with our tax money too. You know what I mean? Like if we can clean the corruption up, I'm on board for a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you just said a thing and then I'm going to reply and then I'm going to say whatever I want because, yeah, and then when I talk like this, it sounds as if these are two sentences that should be connected. It's pretty good.
I think that's the question.
All right, well then there's something we can work on there, Tim.
Yeah, I think like a lot of the conversations I have about taxes, people will be like, I oppose taxes because look what the government does with it. And I'm like, so you oppose corruption? When you're told that they take your money and go blow up kids with it and then, beat prisoners or whatever nonsense, I can understand why you're upset. And I'm kind of just like, it's really hard to argue against someone who says that when we know that a lot of evil people are stealing our money for evil things. Like, how do you clean that up? I think you clean that up and most people are going to be fine with it. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
If you were spending $50 a month on Netflix and you knew that only like $40 was going to some random guy to go beat dogs.
Like, when you're watching the Timcast, like, the actual Timcast show, Timcast IRL and shit like that, they do this all the time, but they're all comfortable with it, right? As normal human beings, we don't really speak this way to each other. So like, I don't sit down with someone and in mid-sentence change the entire purpose of what that sentence and the purpose of the story was going towards, and then just switch to something completely irrelevant and nonsensical and unattached to that previous thought.
It's all connected.
because doing so would be highly confusing to people who are trying to listen to what I'm saying, right? It wouldn't be very coherent. But they do this all the time. They can be mid-sentence, they can be talking about, oh, yeah, and that's why all those welfare queens are basically living off the big teat of the government. I know, they're terrible. Did you ever see that movie, what's it called, Sonic the Hedgehog 2? Do you remember when that Jim character, who was he? When that Jim character, who was he?
The Eggman, yeah, like from the Beatles song, kind of. Beatles, that's pretty interesting, right? Like there's a lot of them on Earth. I think there's like a whole bunch of them. Like there's a whole bunch of varieties and stuff. Makes you really think about how many would fit on the Ark. The Ark, you say, oh yes, the Ark from biblical times. Bible, what? God, you say, what? Like,
and it just goes on and on and on. And then like, I guess if you've got other people who like that and want to speak that way to you for a while, then like it's going to work out in a circle, like a circle of friends where every single person is doing that. You know, it feels like, I don't know, telephone without a purpose.
None of that happened.
You'd be like, I'm not gonna. Yeah, so I take issues with that, and I'm kind of like, you know, if you knew that you were contributing to a system that was using your money as efficiently as possible, you'd be like, I'm okay. You know, I'm getting some good from it for some reason. Like, no, like, you know, a lot of people on the right, they don't want to defund the cops, right? But the cops have a lot of broken issues within their systems that need to be fixed as well. And I think just saying like,
see, so if you've never seen the Tim on Toast video on Tim, this is basically exactly what he does in terms of his milk toast fence sitting, but he's just doing it live in real time. We're seeing like, this is the improv version, you know, if he took to the stage, the Tim Pool Broadway musical theater experience, he's just jumping all over the place, you know, and that's what he does in his own like one-on-one live show when he stares at the camera, because he'll say something, then he'll say the opposite viewpoint on that something, and then it looks as if he's the smart one because he said both positions, and then he's going to add something completely new to it. And if you see it like he's doing right now in real time, it's a little bit jarring and confusing. Like right now, I think Emma's kind of just deciding, when do I like interject here? At what point? There's so many different ideas that have just been espoused in such a short period of time.
what are you guys saying? Why are we listening to three lefties debate politics? Where is the right-wing representation?
That's, hey man, I don't know what show you're watching here.
Yeah. Who exactly was that? Was it very left wing when Actual Justice Warrior was talking about how you really should look into the murder rates between different racial groups, and he was really insistent on that, and he was like,
I'm pretty sure when you look there, in terms of non-whites, they won't be highly represented.
It's like, ah, yeah, classic fucking Marx and Engels right there, I tell you.
Clean up your You called me a crime denialist. You called me a crime denialist. You called me a crime denialist. You called me a crime denialist.
I think for shows like yours, you exist on a political space where you assume everybody to your right is right wing, even moderates and centrists and liberals.
Moderates and centrists and, well, not liberals, but moderates and centrists, y'all are fucking old with this shit. They keep doing this thing where it's like, you just admit to yourselves, you'll be so much happier as people. Just honestly, if you could just come forward and stop doing this little dance where you're like,
oh, we're in the middle. We're sitting on the fence, you see. Yeah, I don't take a position in one direction or the other. Yes, I'm nearly apolitical. It's like,
no, you aren't. As the right is barreling towards fascism, if you're just going to be on the center and you can be like, well, I mean, they are saying eliminate certain categories. What's the other side saying? Healthcare for all.
Universal basic healthcare.
Ooh, I don't know. Both sides kind of seem the same. Well, if they kind of seem the same to you, you're probably on the other side. Just gonna be honest with you, all right? You don't get to keep being like, oh, this is neat. Let's have a debate. Let's just a debate amongst all of us to find out the truth about this.
It's where you assume everybody to your right is right wing.
Like, yeah, I'll be honest. A lot of my IRL friends and some of my oldest friends in life, some are liberals. I mean, they're definitely sock dems, you know, liberal left. Most of them are sock dems. Like, sock dem is probably, I would say, the furthest right of all the ideologies. And obviously, I'm much further left than a lot of them. But they don't think like this. If they listened to half the shit that Actual Justice, they wouldn't.
First off, if they were listening to Actual Justice Warrior, they'd be like, what is this? Is this guy like some kind of a neo-Nazi or something? I'd be like, no, well, no, interestingly enough, this is actually known as a race realist.
Why the fuck you love?
He tries to manipulate data and statistics to try and present the idea that there happens to be something either wrong with black culture or black people. That predominantly explains why they may have overrepresentation in the criminal justice system outside of both historical and systemic racist reasons and, of course, the over-policing of the criminal justice system and how it is disproportionately going, blah, blah, blah. It's a whole thing.
Oh my god, why the fuck you lie?
Talk about socialized healthcare all the time on your show, and I'll be looking for it now.
Universal basic healthcare.
Like, I'll give you an example. The Young Turks did a video where they called me ugly because I talked about attraction privilege. I don't know how you call it, beauty privilege or whatever. And I was talking about how conservatives are more likely to be attractive because it's easier to go through life as an attractive person. Thus, you're given benefits that you associate to your abilities instead of society, resulting in a conservative worldview. And those who are less attractive have it harder, resulting in a collectivist worldview. And instead of just like telling me I was wrong, they just called me ugly.
Well, I mean, do you have statistics?
I want to know. I want to know if that is true. I know sometimes TYT can be crass, okay? They can be edgy or whatever, but I don't know if that actually happened. I don't think they would just be like, Tim Pool's ugly, you know?
So look, I think we're fair. I think we acknowledge that anecdotal evidence certainly exists. I'm glad that you got into the study. But it would have been more palatable to hear this argument from someone who's not unattractive, you know?
Right. Yeah.
I'm just keeping it like it's just. Oh, okay. We're bad people. We're bad. So he does take the beanie off time to time. Yeah, it is mean. It's okay. I can't stand this guy. Okay. So.
I mean, if we're being completely honest about all of this, there's gorgeous and beautiful people in every, like, you know, corner of the whatever their political beliefs are. It's always tragic when you find out someone who's very attractive to you happens to not have the same political ideology as yourself. And there's also, of course, people who would not be considered attractive in any other political persuasion. It's very weird to be like, you know what, you're hot if you think that immigrants are subhuman and they shouldn't be allowed in the country. And then if they do come in the country, we should separate them from their families. That makes you really hot. That's weird. That's bizarre. Okay, so they did make fun of you. They called you a very low IQ individual, I believe. But they did not call him ugly.
They did not, for the record, TYT did not call him ugly in that segment.
But it would have been more palatable to hear this argument from someone who's not unattractive.
And political leanings. But this is like not even controversial among the left. This is privilege, right?
Hey, if we're on the right side of things and we're uglier, I'm totally fine with that.
But so what happens is,
samesies. Like, it's not a hot or not for me about whether or not people should have human rights. Civil liberties really is a smash or pass, you know? There's some chicks out there that are all right, 6s and 7s, but when I see those fucking titties, oh damn. Then I'm for civil rights. Yeah.
But this is like not even controversial among the left. This is privilege.
No, I see those fucking titties, oh damn.
You go through life and you're ugly. People are meaner to you. They're less interested in you. You have a harder time of things. You're going to lean towards collectivist approaches to things, like we need to work together to fix these problems.
Wait, are you trying to say that communism comes from ugliness?
No, he isn't.
There's only a couple minutes left. This is the swan song of the debate. This is the denouement. Like, holy shit. That's the thing with commies. They're just all a bunch of uggos, and then the uggos have to band together because they have more power. Hey, if 10 ones band together, is it 110? Think about it. Think about it, libs.
But this is like not even controversial among the left. This is privilege. But if you're attractive and people are nice to you all the time, it's like that 30 Rock episode, The Bubble, where
I love 30 Rock.
What was that guy's? John Hamm. It's like everyone's super nice to him.
Yeah.
He thought he was really good at everything, but he was just attractive. But like my point.
I like how you not only have anecdotes to back up some of your things, where it's just like, well, here's a random thing I'm going to say that may or may not be real. Don't look it up. And then also it's TV references. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is kind of based in reality, based on that episode of 30 Rock, where John Hamm, being John Hamm, very, very, attractive, classically handsome man, just has a very easy life because he's very, very handsome and everyone's just very nice to him. And then he doesn't understand why people stop being nice to him, even though he's still so handsome. Like the science, right?
Is not to talk about that. My point is to just insult me instead of address the issue.
I disagree with the ad hominem, but it's not me. So,
well, anyway, I think we should wrap it up because we're a little bit long. Do you guys want to say anything before we finish?
Well, it got a little heated, but I appreciate you having me on, Tim, for sure. And I know you don't want to have Sam on, but I hope you reconsider.
There's a lot of people who have blacklisted that guy from various shows, and he knows it.
Yeah,
he's talked about it.
He wears it like.
He said the same thing to me, and then right away I asked for like, oh, who? And he's like, I can't say.
A badge of honor.
But he needs to stop saying it's because they're scared of him. It's because he's a dick.
I think.
So, in terms of this, I have heard this from specific people. Steven Crowder, Dennis Prager, Tim Pool. Steven Crowder, it's because he's a coward and simply refuses to debate Sam Cedar. Doesn't count. Dennis Prager is because Dennis Prager claimed that he lied about him. Yes, Dennis Prager was like, he lied about me. He said that I had been divorced 3 times. That was a lie. I've been divorced twice. Okay, so I'm sure he'd issue a correction for you, old man Prager. Sure he'd issue a correction on that one. And then, I mean, you all know about the third.
He might be both. It might be both.
No one's scared of him.
All right.
Like I've had there. Like,
did you know this is a different person, Tim? Did you know this isn't Sam Cedar? It's not. This isn't Sam. You're not talking to Sam Cedar right now. I know you brought up and invoked Sam Cedar like what 7 different times during the course of this, and then in the middle of it.
And I know you don't want to have Sam on, but I hope you reconsider.
Who put you up to this? Was it Sam? Yeah, I bet it was Sam. Sam did this. Yeah, I can tell. No, this is Sam. This is Sam. No, yeah, no, a woman wouldn't do this. This has to be a man.
And I know you don't want to have Sam on, but I hope you reconsider.
Sam Cedar?
Holy crap. Right on. Sean?
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube at Actual Justice Warrior, on Twitter at IamSean90. And as for Sam Cedar, I'm also a New Yorker. I will not only go on his show in studio and debate him, I will also take him out to dinner, hang out with him, become his best friend, maybe even wear matching shirts and all of that. So I am available.
Ew.
I'm not afraid of Sam Cedar. So, deliver the message.
Love it.
You know, I think because of who I am, it's impossible for just to like me to sit back and have people have a conversation. So I do want to apologize because you're definitely 2 against 1, like both of us. Although on the Ukraine thing, you guys definitely had me. I don't know. I'm looking at these both of you. I'm like, what's going on here? So
yeah, Tim, that's embarrassing. That's deeply, that's like you set that up. You knew Emma Vigeland was coming over, and then you're like, well, I need to have someone else on the show. And then when that other person was on the show, you got so ridiculous that your fucking ally was like, I gotta, let's just slow down a bit here, Tim. This one's a little, yeah, I don't know if she's quite, she's actually kind of correct about that one. See, I just, maybe you just don't know about this, but here's a little bit of the history between Russia and Ukraine. You know, we'll go through this. We'll work through this one. Yeah, that's not great.
Just for future, for everybody, we'll try and make sure that it's not so, like, I felt like we were very 2 against 1. It wasn't very fair. You know what I mean?
You said the same thing after my thing. Then why do you keep doing this? Like, what did you feel a little bit guilty afterwards? Like, she still rocked you. You don't need to add the caveat. Like, I feel a little bad. You know, we should have just. Like, I feel a little bad. You know, we should have just. Like, I feel a little bad. You know, we should have just. Like, I feel a little bad. You know, we should have just.
But I'm just saying, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm just a clown on the internet. But I'm just saying, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm just a clown on the internet. But I'm just saying, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I'm just a clown on the internet.
And if you do beat me, feel free to use this stick to beat me for my insolence. And I promise you my complete loyalty. All right? And if you beat me, I'll not be a teacher. I am very grateful.
Robbing for rent, gauge in the French, slave ever since, return of the prince, Constantine the Great, now go great, sons of man plan. He's the Byzantine king, supreme, all Neil gets the ring, into an Elohim, I blow steam from the families of the Maccabees, smack them seas, watch them scream your majesty, make them suffer the capacity of tragedy, hold a crowd down like gravity.
High-ranked officials and armed tanks with missiles, blood bristle. Simple fact, you slept on an issue. That before you started jerking off joysticks and Sega, I was rocking off 100-watt amps and Sharon Vegas.
Apocalypse now. Mind over matter, next batter meet the cat. Plain killing it, cuts, you feeling it. In your bloodstream, deadly venomous elixir. Hammer like sledge that be sister. All in together now, follow me the mister. Left Candyman, farewell to the left.
Lulu status, Gladys the rich, rock cabbage, and dollar bands. Dance that nigga man savage. Stationary hall of justice. Niggas came conked out, just came home, now they bonked out. Money be longer than triple light. Till the sun burn out. That's my work, moving with the
It's the
burner out.
longest waited, the most anticipated. The album hesitated. Scream the name out, Killer Breeze. I leave the blood spilling in the street.
Watching enemies stare, hostility floats in the air. If I have to play, so I just won't care. We rolling pairs, like a machines moving supreme. My team gleam like matches and gasoline. Soldier fanatic, 7 slug punctured the attic. Should've stuck to your fucking religion. I was to prison, or your own to
Alf Benny will be sure to mix this up, mash this up in his TYT mashups, which are very entertaining, and I highly recommend you watch it. Very entertaining, and I highly recommend you watch it. Alf Benny to mix this up, mash this up. Alf Benny mash this up in his TYT mashups, which are very entertaining, and I highly recommend you watch it. Alf Benny.
I get it.